Hey guys, welcome back to our simple farmhouse build in SketchUp. This is where we are taking an actual set of plans that I have for a 1600 square foot farmhouse floor plan, and we are going to build it just like I would in the real world, with all the framing and structural details involved in the 3D model in SketchUp. This is going to allow us to plan out the build, look at the design for inefficiencies or any problems that may come up during the build, and then also get a very accurate material count for this build, which will then allow us to get a very accurate budget to build this house, whether it is a spec home or a rental or a house for yourself. So in this series, I'm just showing you how I go about building these models in SketchUp for those purposes as a builder myself. The things that I'm looking for, the details I'm paying attention to, and then the methods that we're using to actually build this as a 3D model. Currently, we have gotten up through the foundation. We did all the concrete foundation in the first couple episodes, I think maybe just the first episode, and then we did our floor system after that. So we have let me turn on framing as well. So we have all of our joists and then our subfloor sheathing that's on top of those joists. Currently though, following up on the last episode, we are framing out the basement. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those back off. You can see last time we got through all the exterior wall framing for the basement. So today we're gonna go ahead and move on to the interior framing for the basement level. Now you may be wondering, why are there no windows? Obviously we're gonna have some bedrooms here in the basement. We have one bedroom right here, one bedroom here, and one back here in the corner. In order for those to actually qualify as bedrooms, they are gonna need proper egress per code. So that means we are going to need egress windows in each of those rooms. So there's going to be 2 windows here on the front, 1 in the back, and then we may even add in maybe windows over here or somewhere else, right? This room here, I'm kind of planning to use as a media room in this model, like a theater room. So I'm not planning on putting any windows in this room, although it wouldn't be a bad idea just in case somebody wanted to use this as a 4th bedroom in the basement. You would want to have some egress windows there, so maybe we will throw some in. I haven't quite decided yet, but we will do that later. For right now, I just want to get all the walls framed up so we have our layout done, have the walls framed in, and then we can always go back and add those windows in later. Very, very easy to do. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the series. Let me know in the comments if you have specific questions about how to build in SketchUp or about this particular floor plan. Again, I'll show you the plan here. That you can see the exterior view right there. And then right here we have the foundation plan. So this is kind of what we used when we did our foundation. You'll notice I did make a few changes. So if you didn't watch the first couple episodes, you may want to go back and watch those. We removed this little bump out on the side, instead extending this wall all the way out so that it goes the full length of that side of the home at the same distance out that the little bump out is. So we brought this section of wall out to match that bump out, and then this section of wall out to match that bump out. Right now, I believe those are the only main changes that we have made to this point, though. So we're going to go ahead and move on from there. Here's a quick view of the main floor plan if you're interested. Some elevation views, right? So we're going to move on with our basement framing now. And we already, in I believe the first or second episode, we went ahead and took care of our layout, what we wanted, because the plans do not have a basement layout. I had to kind of figure out what I wanted to do for that myself. So since we're going to be framing this out today, I'll go ahead and go over that real quick again, in case you didn't catch the first episode, or just as a refresher, we can go over it. So our load-bearing walls for the joists above are going to be right here and right here, okay? And then also this little wall right here will be load bearing as well. So those are all going to be 2x6 framing. All the other walls are going to be 2x4 framing. Very simple and easy to do. They're all going to be 24-inch on center stud framing. So yeah, and I think we did do this basement at a 9-foot ceiling height. more or less. Let's see, if we go all the way to the top of the double plate, yeah, we're just over 9 foot. So that's because the foundation walls, I think we did at 9 foot. Let me see, I should probably measure it from the inside, but that's gonna be a little tough because I got my framing in the way now. Okay, there we go. I grabbed the inside edge of the framing. I just want to double check how tall these walls are, because I did bring those top plates for the exterior walls up a little bit higher to hit the bottom of the joist, because our joists are resting on top of a pressure treated sill plate. Let me see if I could show you that. So you can see right here, let's see, we'll go to the outside view. So you have the top of the foundation wall right there. Then you have our 2x6 sill plate, pressure treated. And then we have our joists sitting on top of that, rim joist or rim board. And then our floor joists spanning across. These are engineered I-joists, which is my preferred material for joists, unless I'm doing something really fancy or, a nice big custom home. Then I would probably prefer to go with floor trusses, which would allow you to do ducting and everything in the floor trusses themselves. But for a simple little rental like this, there's not really going to be a lot of duct work or anything in particular that we need the extra space in the floor trusses to utilize. So we're just gonna go with the standard I-joist here. Works perfectly well. And for a rental, that would be my preferred method, since that is going to be the cheaper option. Okay, so let's go ahead and take that framing off, and we need to start, we'll start by laying out our plates, just like we did with the exterior walls. We need to come in here and replace all of these temporary layout objects that we use to kind of signify where our walls would be. I need to replace all those with plates, bottom plates for the walls. So to do that, we are going to, let's see, I'm trying to decide how exactly I want to do that, because typically I would not have all these here, but I put all these here to kind of show you guys what we're planning for layout. I think what we're going to do, we're going to build all of our top plates on top of these temporary walls, these little wall markers. I'll build the top plates on top, then we'll delete these out, and I'll move all the bottom plates down to the floor level. So let's start right over here. And then I also would like to, I guess I could remove each one as I go, but probably won't do that. Let me take the foundation wall off real quick, because I want to resize this one to match where our wall will actually be. And I'm going to need to do that on all of them, actually. So let me pause the recording for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to bump all of them in a little bit so that they don't extend into the exterior walls, but they actually end right at the exterior walls. And that's going to make putting our bottom plates down much simpler. So I'll be right back. Okay, went in and got that done. Took me just a minute. So now we're going to come in here. We'll just start up here in the top left corner. I usually like to just start in the top left corner with everything. It keeps me using the same method and kind of system every time I'm doing this. And as I mentioned in the last episode, especially with our stud spacing, as we go across, it's important to always start on the same side of a wall. So I always start at the left end of a wall and then do our stud layout from there, 16 on center, which means that a lot of times you'll end up at the right end of the wall, the other end of the wall, with, something that's smaller than, in this case, we're doing 24 on center spacing. So we're left with something smaller down here, but that's okay. I just want to make sure I'm always starting from the same end on every wall that I do. And that way it will be exactly the same as what I would do when framing these walls in the field at the job site, because I would always start from the left end and work my way right. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to follow that same method, but I am going to start up here in the top left corner of the home's floor plan. So right up in here, and we'll start with the 2x6 wall. Why not, right? So what we need to do is go 16 foot by 5.5 by 5.5. And I did put, so when you're typing that in, you do want to make sure you put the, you don't need to put an inch, the quote mark for inches, but when you are specifying feet, how I put the 16 foot first and then 5.5, I do need to specify that that is feet by putting the little the foot marker there. So we'll do that. Now I gotta type it again because I moved my mouse. So 16 foot 5.5 with the comma in between, and that's going to give us our first plate. These are going to be pressure treated. Let's bring that up 1.5 inches, and then we're going to make that a group. So triple click on it to select everything that we just created, and then right click and make group. And then what I'm going to do is just move this down. So I'm going to grab it by the corner there. I'm going to hit control, and it shows a little plus sign there on the cursor. That means it's going to make a copy, and we're going to move that copy right down here. And really going forward from here on out, I'm probably not going to kind of explain every single step of what I'm doing as much, because I have done that a lot in the first, how many episodes do we have? 4 already, I think. So the first few episodes, I was doing that a lot to try and kind of teach you guys that aren't familiar with SketchUp what exactly it is that I'm doing to do all this. But I think by now you should all be pretty familiar with the, shortcuts, the tools that I'm using, whether it's a move tool or draw or rotate or whatever, right? We've covered that extensively at this point, so I probably will not be calling that out as much anymore. And that will help us move just a little faster here. Now we're going to do this 2x4 plate right here. And this one, I don't even need to type in the measurement. I could just drag it from one end straight to the other like that. And then we will push pull up. We'll just match it to that one. Select the whole thing, make group. There we go. Okay. Then let's go. We'll do this room next. Okay, so we're going to grab it from that back corner, and we're going to draw a rectangle straight to here. I do want the longer wall to overlap the corners of the shorter walls, so we're going to build it just like it's seen here with our temporaries. What did that? Hold on, let me back that up because it accidentally double-clicked and set it to a height that I didn't want. So we want 1.5 inches up. That is the thickness of our 2x. And then make that a group. And then we're going to move a copy of it over to the other side, because both sides should be exactly the same measurement wise, right? See? Now this wall here, let me see, how long is this wall? Do we need to do 2 separate pieces? Yeah, it's 20 foot. So let's go ahead, and it's almost worth it to actually split this wall into 2 12-foot pieces. I mean, not exactly 12 foot, but using 12-foot boards for this instead of a 16 foot and then a small little, 4-footer. We'll just go with the 4-foot. I think that's fine though. So we'll do a 16 foot. I am assuming the door to this room is going to be somewhere right around here. We will put all the doors in once we get the walls framed up. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to want to go 16 foot, 5.5. Oh, sorry, 3.5. This is a 2x4 wall. Okay. Bring that up, and we could just match the height from the other plates. Make that a group. And then let's come over here, and we need to make one more. That's not where, is it? Yeah, okay, it is grabbing the right spot. And bring that up, same height as that one. We're gonna make that a group. Okay, now we'll come up here and do these walls. So bring that one across, up 1.5, and make that a group. And then we are gonna wanna, yeah, okay. We're gonna copy that and move it down to the other wall down here, because that's gonna be the same thing. Okay, now we need to do the little short wall. Actually, let's do this 2x6 wall first. No, let's do the short walls first. Oh, somehow this one was a little taller. Let me, yeah, let's go ahead and bring that down, because that's gonna mess me up a little bit. Bring that down to that height, and bring that down to that height. Okay, there we go. Now, those 2x6 walls are going to need to be brought down as well, actually. There we go. Oh, you know what? Actually, it was the small walls that were too... okay, let me... undo all that. And then what we actually want to do is grab these. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, so yeah, I was kind of confused how that happened. I actually built that plate right there. I put it down too low. That's why it was looking weird. Okay, now everything makes sense. So let's go ahead and do this one. And that's going to match that one right there. Select all, make group. Okay. And then we'll do this centerpiece. No, right there. Make that a group. And I want to make sure I'm getting the bottom of that plate, not accidentally clipping onto the top there, or it would create something weird for us. We definitely don't want that. So make that a group. Okay, now we got to do the 2x6 walls. So let's grab, oh, not that corner, right there. And bring that up to there. Make group. Okay, perfect. Now this is where we're gonna have to do some separate pieces. So let's go 16 foot and then 5.5. There we go. That's gonna be that height there. Make that a group, and then we're going to select a copy of that and move it. Oh, why is it connected to that? I messed up. Hold on, I'm trying to find where I messed up. Why was it dragging a copy of that little... That was weird. Okay, let's try it again. So rectangle tool, we want to grab from right there. It's going to come down to there, 16 by 5.5. Whoops, I forgot to put the foot mark. That's what happens when you forget to put the little foot notation for feet instead of inches. It's going to use inches by default. So that made it 16 inches by 5.5 inches. Definitely not what we want. So 16 foot, 5.5. I feel like it's still doing that. Why? Okay, I think I know what happened here. Possibly. Yeah, okay, I thought so. It didn't get all of that. So let's go ahead, explode that, and then triple click on it again. It should select everything this time. Make group, let's check it just to make sure. Yep, we got it all. Okay, there we go. And now we can do this one correctly. 16 foot by 5.5. Right, and push pull, bring that up. And make it a group. Okay, now we're going to move that down as a copy. Put it right end to end. And then I'm going to go ×2. So it puts 2 of them right there. And actually, let's do ×3. It'll put a third one there, and I'll just shrink that third one down to fit. So we want it to go to about right there. Right? I think that opening is the size we wanted. I guess I should check. Now that we have the exterior walls in, it might be a little small. We wanted to fit, I think I was doing a 36-inch door here, so we need 36 inches plus 2 inches for the rough opening on the width. So we're gonna be at 38, and this opening is currently a 39.5. It's a little small. It's not going to leave us any room for trim. So trim on these doors, I usually go with 1x4s for the casing. That's going to add 3.5 inches to each end. So 3.5 times 2 gives us 7 inches. So we want to have 38 plus 7. That's going to be 45 inches. Right now we are not at 45. So let me fix that real quick. Yeah, let's just bring a line out. Oh, actually, we are right at 45. Ha, I was doing the math wrong in my head. It's actually just over, so we could technically bring that out just a little bit more. What is that distance there? Let me see if it's a 1/2 inch. Oh, 1/2 inch for the drywall, that will be on this wall here. So we do need to account for that. So that's perfect. So I did get that all correct when we laid it out the first time. I just wanted to double check. It's been a while since we did that. Wanted to make sure we had that opening correct. Okay, so now we've got that load-bearing wall done. The only walls left to do are going to be these 4 walls here, separating these 2 rooms and the closets. In the middle, there actually should be a small wall right in the middle there as well. Just, oh no, that's right. We're doing, this is the closet for this room, and then this room was going to have this big closet right here. So, and I actually might go ahead and put another little wall in right there now that I think about it, and make this a closet for the game room area here is what I'll call it. And then this will be a nice walk-in closet for this bedroom here. I think that's a good idea. So we will do that. Let me go ahead and get these walls, the plates for these walls done. And then when we go over there to that spot, I'll go ahead and add another wall in there. Make that a group. We're going to drag a copy of that over to here. Perfect. Okay, and then rectangle tool. We're going to do another one right here. Let me fix my view a little bit so I can actually get into that corner. Make that a group. Okay, and then yeah, let's go ahead and add this one in. Just like so. Then back out. Oops. Okay, can you please? There we go. Was being a little stubborn. Make a group there, and then we're going to move a copy of this straight over to line up with the edge of that wall. I want it to be on the, which axis is that? The red axis or something? How come it's not? Let me see. It should click right to it, but it's not. Interesting. Oh, did I hit a button that removed the... Why is it not clicking to the axis? We do want it to be on the red axis. Well, you know what? I could just do this instead then if that's not going to work. We'll just move a copy of this over to here, and then we can just move a copy of this right on top of there. Not a problem. Sometimes it gets, SketchUp will be a little weird when you're trying to click onto axes or whatever while moving stuff, I've noticed. Rarely, but sometimes it does do that. Okay, so now we have all, oh, I moved this one instead of making a copy. I did not mean to do that. And also, yeah, okay, that's, no, I'm not even supposed to have that one right there. Why is that there? Oh, I know what I did. My bad. Let's, that's where it is. Okay. So I copy, because all of these layout temporary walls were in a group together, I need to actually click into the group here, make a copy of that now, and move it over. And then we'll click back out and move this one over. That way we are only getting that little section of wall that I wanted. Perfect. Okay. That's good to go. It looks like we got everything in there. So now we just need to go in and delete that, right? And then now I'm going to turn everything else off here. Well, except for the exterior framing, because we haven't put that in a group yet. But this is going to allow me to select just what I want, which is all of my plates. Is it going to unselect that? Yeah, it did. Okay. We'll select those, select that, and select those 3 there. Okay, we should have all of our walls selected now. Perfect. And what we want to do, I'll go ahead and turn the slab back on. We can put the footings on as well. They're not important for this, but why not? And then foundation wall, we can go ahead and turn that back on. I had it turned off, but let's do that. And then we'll just move this straight down to the floor. Like so. And there we go. Now we have all of our sill plate, or not really sill, but bottom plates on the floor, ready to go, ready to frame on top of. Now, just like last time, we're going to create a copy of these bottom plates and move them all the way up to become our top plates. So I'm going to keep them all selected. We're going to move a copy by hitting Control. We're going to grab that. And I wonder if I should do a stud first. It might make it easier to attach, but nah, that's all right. We'll just do it like this. That's going to go to the first top plate. And then we need to make another copy and move that up. Now, I mentioned this last time. Top plates, you want to stagger the seams. So technically, for the second top plate, this board here should extend all the way out to here, and it will divide this into two separate boards. You want to do that everywhere where you have an intersection, right? So right here, same thing. This board here should extend all the way out to here. I don't want to waste a bunch of time right now going through and doing all that. Keeping them just like this is perfectly fine. There are reasons why you would want to go ahead and stagger your seams with all your top plates. If you're going to be building this yourself, because you want to go ahead and lay out where your seams are all going to be. Is it worth me doing that now? Let me think. It's going to add some time to this video, so I don't think I will. Maybe, I think I said last time I was going to do that off camera and then it would be done when we came back. I did not do that, obviously, with our exterior walls. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking I'll just leave it as is for now. I don't know. It's one of those things that, you know, how detailed do you want to be with your model, right? You can go ahead and offset all your seams like they should be by code. Or we could just leave them. Let's go ahead and offset them. Why not? I'll try and run through this quickly. So we're going to bring this top plate down to there. We're going to bring this one out to right there. And then that means that this one is going to extend. Actually, we're just going to leave it as that because this is longer than a 16-foot span. You can get boards that are 20-foot length. I try to always do everything in 16-foot lengths or less. So what I would actually do right here is create a copy of this board, and we'll just fill that gap with a new board right there. But then, actually what I wanted to do, hold on, let's select that. We want to move it down to here like this, and you want your seams to be offset 4 feet minimum. So you can see we'll have a double seam right there. I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and extend. This one already is, so what I actually am going to do is take this one. No, what happened? I selected that. Oh, I got to double click it. And we're just going to shrink that one down to right there. Okay, it'll help if I zoom in a bit. And there we go. Now we have our seam offset. Let's see what the distance is between those. Over 5 feet. So we're plenty good with the seam offset there. I'm not going to go around and do all the exterior wall offsets right now, but we'll get these interior ones done because they're fairly quick and easy. We're going to take this one, shrink that down to there. Then take this, oops, grab the wrong face there. Bring that out to there. Okay. Over here, oh, we do have this seam right here in the middle. So what I'm going to do is shrink that down 48 inches, and then this one is going to come down 48 inches to meet that. That'll give us our 4-foot offset for the seams of those top plates. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. Over here, this is going to have to become 2 boards. So let's do this right there, and we can go ahead. What is the length of this board? Yeah, we got plenty. Okay, let's go ahead and extend that. And then we're going to take this one, move a copy down to right there. And we just need to finish extending that all the way. Okay, now let's go ahead and I guess we'll work on this little section in here. So we're going to bring this down, bring this over. Actually, this should be a continuous plate all the way through. So what we need to do is bring this one, oops, all the way back over to here. Okay, and then I'm going to take this, we're going to bring this back 48 inches. We're going to extend this one to meet that one where it is now. Okay, and then this, we're going to, nope, that one right there, drag a copy over to here and extend it the rest of the way. Okay, so now we should be good with all of those. We are going to want to come and do this one right here next. So let's go ahead, bring that down to right there. This can just be one continuous board, so we can get rid of this small one here and then drag this one the rest of the way. Like that. And actually, I think that needs to go all the way to the corner if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So let's go ahead and bring this one back. And then we can extend this one all the way. There we go. And, oh, I need to put another board in right there now. Didn't mean to zoom in that much. Let's take that, make a copy. We're going to bring that down to right there. And shrink that to fit right in there. Okay. Did we get that corner? Yes, we did. That's good. Okay, everything looks good right there. Now this one, get out of there. So this needs to shrink to right there because this one is going to extend past. So is the other one, and we're going to be left with a short little piece in between these. I know it's not going to be 4 feet. To separate seams. Actually, I guess that's fine. Well, no, because you have the seam right there under it. What I would actually do there is change where that seam is in the plates, which would require putting in a separate, another board in the middle there. Should I go ahead and do that? Let's do it. Okay, so right here, I would probably shrink this down 5 feet. And this one, 5 feet, and then we'll put a 10-foot board in there. Actually, this one, we're going to go 6 foot. So I want to make sure we're at least 4 feet back from that corner. And then I'll just grab a copy of that board. We'll place that right there and extend it the rest of the way. Okay, now we got to do the same thing up above. So let's grab this one. We're going to bring that back bring it back 5 feet from its full length. This one, we want to bring that one back, what did I say, 6 foot. And let's bring up a copy of this board to go right in there, just like that. Okay, so now we have a pretty solid setup. That seam right there might create a little bit of a problem when I'm doing my doorway, although I think it'll be okay. Because I'm going to put the doorway basically all the way into this corner with probably only 6 inches there at the end. So 6 inches plus 36 or 38 for a door opening. Yeah, it's going to be close. Now that I think about it, I probably do want to extend that down a little bit further because of that. So 11 foot. We could bring that down. I mean, we could just go a full 16 foot, give it another 5 foot. That would put it about there. It's going to leave this seam kind of in an awkward spot. It wouldn't be the end of that. I could just move it a foot, actually. Let's probably just do that. So 12 inches. Bring this one to meet it, and that should give us plenty of room for our door opening without hitting that seam where the door framing is. It's not the end of the world if you have to do that, but preferably you don't want to do that. Let's match this, and you will be extended down to here. Okay, so now we're good there. Let's add in, let's go ahead and extend this one down, and then we'll add in our little short piece here. Right in there. Like so. And make that a group. Okay. That's done. That's done. We got this seam here that we need to do something with. Let's go ahead and... Ooh, how do I want to do that? I guess I want to push this one back. Right? I mean, obviously I have to. Because we're going to have that. It's going to break right there for this wall to come out. So we'll go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, again, now this seam... Yeah, I guess that's the real problem there. Yeah, I probably do want to extend that even further. Oh, man. Yeah, so you can see where the tricky part comes in with your plate layout. Trying to make sure that you don't have any seams that are less than 4 feet apart is going to be a little tricky. Depending on your layout, right? The more complex your layout is, the harder it's going to be. We need to add about 5 feet to that. But can we? How long was that board already? 9. So yeah, we can add 5 feet to that. Let's do that, I guess. So we want to take that back 5 foot. Oh, but that's going to put us right on the seam there. So in this case, I don't think it's going to be possible, actually. We only have a 7-foot width. So it's going to be impossible for us to separate these seams by 4 feet. Unless I just do, well, no, because let's see, 7, 16, so that'd leave 9 feet. That would be, yeah, that would be 4.5 feet on each side. Okay, one sec, I'll be right back. I'm going to figure this out real quick, and then I'll show you guys. I don't want to waste a bunch of time in the video doing this. Okay, so I went ahead and got that done. You can kind of see I copied it down to the bottom plate so you can see what I did for the layout at the bottom. This board extends 13 feet. This one, and yes, this seam is going to end up right next to the seam there. This closet space right here is so small. There's just, either way, no matter how I do it, there's going to be a seam because this closet is not long enough. There's going to be a seam that's too close to either end. I could actually bring that back so it's at least centered in that closet space, but there will be a door in there as well. So I don't know if I really want to do that. Yeah, let's go 16 foot there. And then I had the little short piece right in here, 3 foot 7.5. 12. Actually, that could all be one piece. Why did I split that up? I don't know. Okay, let's pull those out. I guess I made a slight mistake there, filling in that gap when I could just extend this one all the way. So we will do that. Just like that. And come up here and grab this one. And extend that to right here. All right, so we don't have that little shorty in there anymore. That works. Let me double check everything, make sure it looks good. Yeah, because that's going to be 4 feet from there. This one, do I want to go ahead and move that over? I mean, most of this is going to be taken up by doorway anyways. I probably do, though. Let me see. What is the width of that? 5.5. That makes things a little awkward. If I put a door in, it's gonna end. The jack side will be probably right about there. So let's just move that over a little bit then. We're gonna push that over. Let me see, halfway. I'm just gonna kind of guess here. It's right about there. So what if I go 2 feet? We could go 24 inches over. What was the length of this board here? It was like 13 feet, right? So we got enough to do 2 feet. Yep. Awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and bring that over like that. Now that seam kind of lands right in the middle. It's still not going to be 4 feet away from the seams on this top, the second top plate, but that's not the worst thing in the world. So 24 inches over. And then we're going to bring this all the way to there. Okay, that was a lot of work just to figure out these plates. This will come up from time to time though, and you got to be able to figure that out. If you're going to be designing this per the actual, you know, the way that it will be built in the field, on the job site, that is, how it will actually be framed. And since I do typically frame these myself, and I like to use these 3D models as what I call a job site model. So in other words, I pull this model up whenever I'm building these homes. I will pull up the 3D model that I designed in SketchUp. I'll pull it up on my phone while I'm out there framing the house, so I can check measurements, design, all that kind of stuff. So the purpose of this is to be an actual job site model, something that can be used by the contractor, builder, in this case myself, in order to verify anything I need to while I'm actually framing and building the house. Okay, and then we're going to extend that to there. That should be good, right? Let me double check the length of that, make sure it's under 16. Yeah, okay. I figured it was. And that should do it, right? We already did the other side, so now we're good with all our overlapping plates. Now it's time to do the studs. Now, you saw me do studs last time for the exterior walls. It's going to be exactly the same. We have 2x6 studs here. That's going to be a 1.5 by 5.5. We're just going to bring that up, and then from there I can just copy this stud over to our layout to get all of our studs for the wall. Okay, let's go ahead. Bring this over. If you remember from last time, I mentioned the very first, if you're doing 24-inch on center stud spacing, your very first bay on the wall is actually going to be a 23.25, because you want to subtract half of the width of that stud. That way, when we put our sheet, or in this case drywall, any of our sheet goods, so drywall is going to be a 4x8 foot sheet. We want to make sure that if we put that drywall right up to the edge of this stud, that it's going to land, the other end of that drywall sheet will land right in the middle of a stud. So that's why the first one needs to be half of a stud width less than the 24 on center spacing that we'll use for all the rest. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you have questions about that. I can explain more. So let's do that, and then I'm going to multiply that by, this is a long wall, longish. How many studs do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like 14 of them, maybe 13. Well, we do need 14. I already have 2 though, so let's go times 12. Oops. What did I do? That's not what I wanted to do. All right. Real quick, let's try that again. It's going to move over 24 and then times, let's just do 11. And then we'll move this over 24, and then we'll put one more copy right at the end like that. There we go. Now we have that wall. Okay, now we got to do this wall in here. This is just a 2x4 wall. So we have a 1.5 by 3.5. And drag that all the way up. And make that a group. Why did my width look a little odd though there? Maybe it was just the cursor wasn't all the way on. No, it is too wide. How did that happen? Huh. I have no idea. I guess the temporary wall layout that I had below it was not exactly 3.5. So that was interesting. Anyways, let's go ahead and move this over. Again, we're gonna go 23.5. Do I want to do it from this one? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So we'll go, oh, not 23.5, 23.25. What am I doing? You think I'd done this enough times, I would have it just down to muscle memory, essentially. Go ahead and bring that over, 24. And then we'll need one more copy for the end. Right there. Okay, and you can see now, because we put that ladder blocking in last time, wherever our walls intersect, now we got a nice set of blocking behind that stud, so we can nail that stud directly into it and still have drywall backer to to screw the drywall sheets onto when they hit that corner, right? When they run into this wall that we just framed up. So that is the purpose of the ladder blocking. Same thing over here. Everywhere that we did the ladder blocking is going to work the same way. We will need ladder blocking in this stud bay right here for this end of the wall to die into. We will take care of all the blocking at the end though, because as you saw last time, it's easy to just go around and copy and paste it essentially into each location that you need it. So that's what we're going to do. We'll do it at the end. I'm going to go ahead. I mean, you guys have seen me do stud layouts. I'm going to go ahead and add all the rest of the studs in here, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm just about done with it. I did run into a small thing that I want to fix right here again with this section of the wall. This is the trouble section of the basement framing right here, I guess. So what I actually want to do is move this wall right here so that it lines up with this wall here. When we put the temporary wall in, I lined it up with the foundation. That wasn't what I should have done. So now we got to move it. Let's see, how much is it actually? 4.5 inches? Yeah, that makes sense. Since that is how far, plus the inch that we spaced the framing off the wall. So you got 3.5 inch plus the inch, 4.5 inches. Makes perfect sense. So what we're going to do, I'm going to select all of this. Okay, and we're going to move that over to where we want it. Right there. And that means now we just got to fix the plates. The top plates. The second top plates, to be exact. So we're just going to adjust each of these slightly. I think... Well, let's get out of that. And then... Does that make this one less than 4 feet? I can't remember if I did this exactly 4 feet. Yeah, I did. Okay. So now we got to adjust these. Fun stuff. What was the length from here all the way down? Was that a full 16? No, it was 14. Okay, so we got room. Good. So we just want to push this down. Whoops, not 3.5. We want to push it down 4.5. Select this one. Bring that down to meet it. And actually, oh, this is fun. What a headache. Really what I would want is for it to land right on the stud. So why don't we go ahead and do that? I didn't see how far I moved it, but it doesn't really matter because we got plenty to work with. So we're just going to move that down to center the seam over the stud. There we go. Okay. All the other ones should be done the same way as well, technically. Were any of these a full 16? That's 15, so we got plenty of room there. And that one does not land on a stud. So that's the other thing. Once you have all your studs in, you can go through and verify if the seams actually land on a stud. 15, so we could add a foot going that direction. That would be exactly a foot. Wow, did we luck out with that? Or what? Okay, so we're going to move that down to right there. Actually, that may be too close to the seam, right? Yeah, technically it is. So let's go the other direction with it. That will also work. So we're going to bring it down to here and adjust this one to be the same. Right. Oh, that might put us too close to that seam. Once again, there's not really a good way to do that because it is less than 8 feet. So we're going to be too close to one or the other. We'll just go with that one. When you can't get a 4-foot minimum between seams, I can't seem to grab that. It is okay to go less as long as you're using essentially the max distance that you're able to. This one isn't exactly the max because we are landing it right on the stud, but it's pretty close. I would be, and additionally, I should mention, because this is all basement framing, most of this, it's not really going to matter where the seams land, because most of it is not structural by any means. And you're nailing all of these top plates directly into the truss, the joists above. So they are going to be anchored very well throughout the entire wall, because the joists give you a nice solid structural member to nail those into at the top plate. Whereas when we're building the top floor, the main floor, there will be nothing locked in. See, in this case, the concrete locks in the joists, right? And so if we're nailing into the joists, all these walls will be locked in anyways. When we're doing the main floor, there will be no foundation wall, no concrete wall that holds the trusses in place. So even though the main floor wall framing will be nailed into the trusses, into the bottom of the trusses, those trusses rely on those walls being structurally sound in order for the roof to stay in place, right? For the trusses to be structurally sound. So if you had, let's say, an ICF building here where you brought the concrete foundation with the ICF blocks all the way up to the roof level, then it would be a different story. It'd be kind of like doing basement framing for both levels. Just something to be aware of. It's a little bit more of an advanced thing when it comes to framing carpentry. You know, I just wanted to mention that and throw that out there, but it's not really the most important thing for you to know, so don't worry too much about it. The point is, I'm just trying to land all these seams over a stud, because that is what you want when you're framing these. We were going to go ahead and move this one as well, weren't we? Thought I did that already, but I guess not. It must have been the other one that I did. Let's see, this one. We can go ahead and bring that back to the center of that stud right there. And then we just have to extend both of these. Okay. There we go. I think we're done. I'll look for any additional seams I may have missed in the plates. Make sure they all land on studs. They're real easy to spot because you just look for a line that on your plates. Since all the lines should be hidden underneath a stud, you shouldn't see any others. So we look good. As you can see, I got all of the framing, all the studs at least, in at this point. Let's see, is there anything else I need to do? I guess the ladder blocking is going to be the last thing we really need to do here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll just grab the ladder blocking we already had over here and move it. Oh, I do need, I didn't do that. Okay, we're going to do this a little differently. I was spacing these 16 off of the floor, I believe. Actually, yeah, let's just bring them straight over. No, that's not going to work. Okay, I'm just going to put them down to the ground level, almost. And then this down to the ground level. And then we'll raise it up 16. And that should get me into the exact same spot that I want to be. Perfect. Okay. Takes care of that one. What else do we have? Those are all corners. I am going to need some over there. So let's take these, and I'm going to rotate a copy of these. Right now facing that way, we want to rotate 90 degrees to the red axis there, and then we're just going to move these over here where we need them. Okay, and that's going to be, well, come on, click to it. What are you doing? There we go. Bring that down to the floor. Now bring it up 16, and then I'll move it over against the wall where I want it, or against that stud. So at this point, we can just take this and move it straight over like that. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to take a copy of that, move it to the other side, because we do need some on the other side as well, don't we? Yeah, it looks like we do. Oh, those are going to be... yeah, that's a fun little intersection of walls right there. Let's look for the other ones that we need first, and then I'll take care of those. See, so we need something in the intersection there, something in the intersection there. We need some in the wall right there. Okay, let's do those ones next. Yeah, let's just grab these ones that we already did. And really, if you want to, you could always group these together and make it easier to select them all at once. Normally, I would probably do that. We're already almost through this, though, so I'm just gonna move them. All right, so we need to move over to here, basically. And then let's just move that. Instead of putting it all the way to the floor, I'm just gonna move it up 14.5 inches. Will get me to the same spot. Okay, and then we should be able to just move a copy of that over to right here for this one. And then again, move a copy of that over to here for this one. Why am I missing studs in that wall? Did I not do that wall? Okay, yeah, that was the wall we moved and I didn't finish it off. So, let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, we'll just go 23.25. Could have sworn I had studs in there, though. Did I not? Nah, I guess I meant to do that. I did come back from pausing the recording to show you guys moving that wall. And then I forgot to do the studs after, I suppose. 24, and then we'll put one more to the end right there. There we go. Okay. Where else? Looks like we need some down there. So let's go ahead and grab these again. And move a copy straight on down on the red axis, just like that. And then we need one more copy moved over to here on the red axis. There we go. Now we have our weird little... Did I get everything else? I think I got it all. Looks like it. Okay. So the only things left are four-way intersections of the walls right in here. There's a couple different ways that we could technically do these. I think the way I'm going to do it, because they are interior walls, I'm not worried about insulating, although we will put insulation in between these walls for sound proofing, or sound dampening, rather. But yeah, we're just going to do kind of a stud pack here to land on. I think it will use slightly more lumber than doing the ladder blocking. Good grief. Okay. But it still doesn't quite come out all the way. You know what? No, let's do ladder blocking. I don't think that makes as much sense as I was thinking it was going to. So I need to grab some blocking. And basically what we're going to do here is just double up the blocking so that it hits both sides. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So let's grab a copy of that, bring it over here to where we have our intersection. Let's do it on the other side first since I grabbed that corner. So we're going to put it in there, and then we're just going to bring this up 14.5. And then I'm just going to copy this straight across so that it hits both walls. Just like that. And there we go. Now, why does that stick out right there? Oh. Were these ones not 24s? I thought they were because I was grabbing it from there. Okay. I see we may have made another mistake here. It happens. Yeah, those were a little short for some reason. Oh, that's right, because we had the... I didn't want to use those then. Okay, let's take those back out. I need to use some that are full length. So we're going to grab these ones right here because I know these are for a 24-inch on center spacing. Grab that, grab a copy. Come back over here to where our intersection is. And again, you saw me do this already. We're just going to do it again. That needs to attach to that one right there. And then we're going to move that up on the blue axis 14.5. And then just like before, we're going to move a copy from there straight over to the other side. Staying on that green axis. There we go. All right. And then all we really have to do is select both sets of blocking right here. So one set was already selected. We'll just select the other set. And then I should be able to move all of that straight over on the, which axis is that? The green axis, right? Make sure it's a copy. Move it straight over on the green axis. Is that going to line up? I'm not even sure. Where's my green axis? All right, whatever. We're just going to go... I'm just going to put it on here. Oh, I saw the green axis for a second. There it was again. Oh, it's way up here. That's not really what I had in mind. So I'm just going to put it here. We're going to drag that down, and then we'll move it back up 14.5. Whoa, what did I do? That's not what I wanted. Let's try that again. Move up on the blue axis, 14.5. That's what I wanted. There we go. All right, so now we got our ladder blocking both sides for both intersections. That will use slightly less lumber than just doing a big stud pack there in each intersection. So yeah, I like that. We'll go with that. Let's see, is there anything else that we missed as far as blocking? I think the only thing left at, oh, yeah, that's going to be, so I just realized we will have to adjust this blocking right in here. There's going to be a doorway right here for the closet, right? Well, that doorway is going to be from about right here all the way over to about right here. Probably make it a 36-inch door, although you could do a bifold or, you know, a French door or something right there as well for the closet. Actually, the French door probably makes more sense, in which case I'd probably go a full 48 inches for it. Let's see, what does 48 look like? Well, how long was this spacing? 5'10", so we would take almost a foot off each side. Let's say 10 inches off each side or whatever. Maybe 9 inches, because you need to have your rough opening 2 inches wider than what your door size will be. So we will end up shrinking these blocks down to fit that doorway in there, but we are already up to an hour on the recording. I want to try and keep these recordings to an hour each for the episodes. So I think we'll just go ahead and leave it there. Next time we will come in, we'll go ahead and put in our egress windows through the foundation for each of the bedrooms. Maybe I will go ahead and maybe do one, maybe even 2 windows in that media room. You could just do some blackout curtains over top of them and it would be fine, right? So I think we'll do that, and then we'll, after we get our windows in, then I'll go ahead and do the doorways as well, so we have all that framed in. Other than that, though, I mean, our basement is just about done, framed in, ready to go. So everything is looking real good at this point. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, I like it. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the series. I hope you're learning something from it and finding it useful. You know, once again, this is, in my opinion, the best way to design and plan a new construction home. You know, you could pay people to do this stuff. You could pay somebody to do takeoffs to figure out your materials from the plans. Those are not going to be highly accurate, though. They usually add a significant amount of overage for all the materials to account for anything that was missed. In this case, we'll be able to add up the exact number of lumber that we need. I would just add a little bit of overage for scrap, bad boards. Every once in a while, you'll get a few boards in your studs that just aren't usable, right? When you order lumber, not every single board is going to be usable. Some of them are going to be twisted really bad or have a big crack in them or whatever. So you always want to order a little bit extra. But in this case, we'll be able to get real close to the exact quantity that we need, and then just added that little bit of extra on top, which will be really nice. Oh, the other thing I probably want to do is move this wall right here out so it's flush with this right here, so we don't have this weird little corner there. Not 100% necessary, but I think that is something we are going to want to do. In fact, we could just go ahead and do that real quick right now. So let's go ahead and pull all of these over. So we'll select the whole wall. I'm going to move it right out to the corner there. Okay. And then we just need to extend these plates down. Actually, I need to select this whole wall as well and move it all together. And then we'll, because I started the stud layout from this end, I need to move the whole wall down, and then we'll just get the extra space down here at the other end. I'm going to leave those corner studs where they are, though, and then we'll just get the extra space added in there. So that should do it. Let's go ahead and move that right in there like that. And then we just need to pull these plates down. Oh, I didn't do the corner there with our top plates, did I? So I did miss one of our overlaps. So that one needs to go there, and then this one's going to come out to there, and then this one butts into that. That way we have proper overlap in that corner with our plates. And then this one we just extend down to the end, of course. And there we go. Now that wall is framed out just the way I want it. Everything else looks pretty good. I think I don't see any other issues right off the bat here. If I notice anything, we'll address it next time. But yeah, as I was saying, hopefully you guys are finding this helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or want to see anything explained in more detail. And I'll be happy to do so. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.